I call to order the meeting of the Manassas Park Governing Body for November 18th, 2025. We are going to amend the agenda, moving 6A, the proclamation, to right after the consent agenda. So do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Please join us for a moment of silence, and Councilmember Amaya, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, is anyone signed up for public comment? Nope. Anyone here who's not signed up who would still like to make public comment? Nope. All right. First up is the ladder truck presentation. Chief Soper. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Vice Mayor, and members of everybody. Tonight, myself, Fire Chief James Soper, and my Assistant Chief of Operations, Tom Oliver, will be going over a PowerPoint for the ladder truck capabilities and how it's been working out in the community since we started staffing it. I believe Mr. Carrera has asked for it to be about 2.5 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
No.
So what you asked for?
2
Minimum.
2 minutes to 3 minutes. So, I'm sorry.
We're on the same page then.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry, page.
Gotcha. So the first question is, what is a ladder truck? And I think there's been a misconception amongst a lot of us about it. It's just a fire truck with a big ladder on it, and the ladder goes to the top of the roof, and that's all it can do, right? And I believe that's what we're believing that this ladder truck can do, but it has a lot more capabilities than just that, right? I believe the mayor came down, thank you for coming down and hanging out with the staff, and she saw what all the capabilities. She came back, she started talking about the vast capabilities the truck has. So we're going through a few of those tonight and try to give you a better understanding of what this does. So it's a large extendable ladder on top of the aerial, reaches high places, we know that piece of it. It carries a lot of ground ladders, about 300 foot of ground ladders, which you can't put on a regular fire truck, okay? So some primary functions of the ladder truck. Does with enhanced fire response with better firefighter safety. Some of the characteristics it does is that it does suppression, put out fires. There's some extinguishments where we got to get to the roofs hot quickly in these buildings. Some ventilation, open the roof up to let the gases escape out of the buildings. Some rescue operations, do a lot of ropes, a lot of different types of ropes, with doing some low-grade angles and high-grade angles. We've had a couple calls where we've done some different rescues with this truck already. It does any type of call with the auto extrications. That's where all the equipment is kept on this truck. We do 2 or 3 of those a month. So some of the safety and the community value, it all ties back to this ISO stuff, right? The insurance services offices. So currently, Manassas Park is a 3. The best you can get is a 1. We got our last review back in 2023. We went from a 4 to a 3. We missed going to a 2 by a couple points, right? And truly, actually a little documented, but most of those points were somewhere in training, which we didn't record our training in our record management systems quite the way they wanted it, which we're going to do this year. And the other part was a ladder truck. We missed points on ladder truck because we actually had to use Manassas City's ladder truck as our first new ladder truck. Because of their proximity to Manassas Park, we lost a lot of points. Like you can get 4 points total. We got 0.4, okay? We got 0.3 because we had a ladder truck sitting in our building that we weren't currently staffing. We was actually training up to use it. So next time they come around, we'll get those points, and we should be able to push this thing, hopefully, to a 2, with our training records being updated, with our ladder truck being staffed and running every day and showing the documentation of how it's getting to our calls at approximate time. And so one of the things that ISO tells us is you gotta have if you have 5 or more buildings, 3 stories or higher, they recommend having this ladder truck in your city. We definitely meet that criteria, and we're still building, right? I mean, if you look at what we build in our community, we build vertical lumber yards, right? Everything's made of wood, lightweight, and it goes straight up, right? So that's one reason why getting these ladder trucks there is important. Also with the access, our roads are really narrow going in these subdivisions. Getting the ladder truck in first makes a huge difference. If I put 2, 3, 4 fire trucks in there first, and that way for Manassas ladder truck or some ladder truck from Fairfax County to come, the ladder truck's blocked out. There's nowhere for it to go. It's useless. So it's getting in there early is a really, really key point. And that's why having our own is key. So there's 2 different types of ladder trucks. One's just a regular straight stick, and one just has a tower ladder on it, which is a bucket. And that's where I let the operations chief take over.
So there's benefits to each type. Generally what we see, generally for our area here, when you go back to the Quint back in 2003, it was originally supposed to be a straight stick. There was funds that were contributed to actually make it a tower ladder, which has a bucket on the front, and a lot of those were related to Park Place senior apartments and the concern for actually being able to evacuate senior citizens from those structures. There's several advantages, in my opinion, of the tower for our community over a straight stick. We can discuss all those in the future as well, but it has to do for the ease of being able to work out of the bucket rather than a ladder, as most residences built now don't look like the west end of our city. They're steeper roofs and such. It's a lot easier to operate out of that bucket with tools and have a place to stage them. It does also make evacuations and rescues easier because you have a place to put them. Rescue operations with Stokes baskets or backboards and stuff like that are also carried out a lot easier with the tower ladders. Building off the development side, like Chief Sober mentioned, our buildings and residences are growing taller. Most of our new developments we see here are over 2 townhomes. That's 4 to 5 stories. If you look at the back of these buildings, it's all balconies, at least these particular ones, and those bring us some challenges. Just because these buildings are sprinklered, the sprinklers are there to allow people to egress buildings. It still doesn't cover roof operations and stuff. That's still become a challenge for us to don't have them there.
So if you look at the top picture, remove one up here, this is Blooms right here. This is what a single house in Blooms looks like. This is all the houses up there. The key is, if we look how close they are together, you'll hear a lot of times when the fire catches on one of these houses, you'll hear us talk about if we burn one, we burn 2, because they're so close in proximity that the radiant heat gets from one to the other. If it gets through the roof, it's gonna go over to the next one, next one, next one. That's where the ladder truck's gonna come into play. You're gonna bring 2 or 3 ladder trucks in, you're gonna probably put one ladder truck here, and it's gonna blow water straight down, making it like a water curtain, right? Just put a curtain of water between 2 houses, try to kill that radiant heat to allow that fire not to spread to the next house. So that's why I say getting in there important quickly is really important. Everything we build is close together. It's just it's our community.
Our schools, like many others, fit that as well. The height of them and access are challenges. Park Place Senior Apartments, as I mentioned earlier, that was one of the reasons that we ended up with a tower on the previous Quint. The challenges of the movie theater and large-scale buildings. A lot of times, one of the things I ask when we speak of the ladder truck is to forget about the ladder on the top sometimes. There's a lot of other equipment in there. There's things that if we even have a small fire in a large building like the proposed theater across the street, smoke removal, that's one of the challenges that the crews and ladder trucks would handle. It includes different size fans and different techniques that they're trained on to remove smoke from those structures. A couple more pictures, obviously with the ladder, it does give us height and reach. So we have a couple pictures staged here from incidents or from training of different buildings in our city. As you'll notice on the left at Artina, you can see, if you look closely here to this ladder here, this is one of the taller ladders that we carry on the ladder truck. That's a ground ladder, and our access to that gets us just to the 3rd floor. Having the 101-foot aerial, we're able to make it all the way to the roof. It's also the quickest way for us to get to the roof, especially to bring equipment to the roof. Additionally, on this ladder, there's actually a pre-piped waterway. So we have an ability to hook to the bottom with a fire hose and extend it off the top if we need a hose line on that roof. Furthermore, as Chief Soper referenced, there's a lot of rescue components. Just today, we had a kid who had their head stuck in a chair in our city, a 2-year-old, that they used the tools from the tower to actually spread the rungs on the chair to remove their head from it. Auto accidents with entrapment, we carry specialized equipment for that. Extrication tools such as the Jaws of Life. And then rope, both low and high angle, rope complements to allow for rope type rescues. And a lot of times a rope rescue could be for something that appears pretty simple. We had one recently that was we'll call it a low angle rescue, but it was a person who'd broken their leg at the bottom of a small ravine. Well, everything was wet from the rain. It was very slippery. The easiest way is to get them secured in there and have a safe way to bring them up without causing any further injury if someone slipped, dropped them, or so on and so forth. When the mayor came by the station, one thing that we tried to show was some of our tools, like the scenario here with the Stokes basket operation of lowering somebody without using a ladder. We can use that rope complement and perform this in multiple different ways. And there's a picture from that scenario there as well. Fire suppression, as Chief Soper said, that aerial waterway is a big deal for us. One, being able to act as a standpipe to give us access to put hoses at a higher altitude. The other one to create those water curtains. And then, like I was mentioning before, once you have fire exit the confines of a building and get to the exterior, these master streams are very effective, especially in these larger, taller buildings that we can't necessarily take a hose from the ground and get good access to. The picture on the right here was a recent fire on Park 170. It's really hard to throw a ladder to some of these areas here when there's been compromise on the wall because we don't have a solid structure there, so it's a lot easier to work off a ladder in that environment. Ladder trucks carry a variety of specialized tools, including tools for auto extrication, ropes for technical rescue, saws, ladders, ventilation fans, other equipment needed to handle various emergency situations. One thing with ladder trucks that we also look at is we consider a rolling toolbox. There's a lot of space there to store different types of equipment. One of the other things that's not mentioned on here is it also carries special meters and stuff so we can monitor environments for CO, several different gases, gas leaks, freons, and things like that, that would be hazards. So if our units are responding to a hazard or a rescue type situation, this is the units that's going to go and then be supported by the guys in the fire engine. In addition to its unequaled capability to provide quick response to incidents involving tall buildings, technical rescue, and access to hard-to-reach locations, a ladder truck provides equipment vital to life safety that's not available in other apparatus. Is there questions for you guys?
Well, thank you for coming out. As you guys mentioned, I did go to the fire station and get to see the ladder truck, and I was blown away by all the things that it has that are more than just the ladder on top of it, so I thought it was important for all of us to know that. Can you just specify, for the ISO rating, what impact does that have on the homeowners to have a better ISO rating, closer to 1?
So the ISO rating comes into play when it comes to your homeowner's insurance. So it's basically a fire risk analysis for your community. Sometimes they may ask, hey, how close is your house to a fire hydrant when you call and try to get a premium quote. It makes a big deal for residential. It makes a huge deal for commercial and industrial. So my understanding from as you're talking to potential companies or industry that wants to come in, that's one of the criteria they evaluate on, because while it makes a difference in our homeowners insurance as we improve that and showing we're meeting best practices, it makes a very big difference on those higher risk buildings or occupancies.
Great, thank you. Questions? Start down this way.
No, thank you. Just one question about the ISO rating itself. How often does that get reviewed? Is it every 2 years or is it more sporadic?
It's usually 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
But you can, if you feel like you're ready for a review, that you request it again. We did one that one was 23, 24. We should probably be looking at another one somewhere in 27.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you both for the presentation, very informative. As far as mutual aid, how long would it take, the two scenarios, for mutual aid to get here with their ladder truck, or for us to respond with our ladder truck to a spot in the city? What's the difference in time?
So the time is depending on where the truck is, right? If our ladder truck's in our station, it's gonna be somewhere in our jurisdiction. We just got a report back this week from a consultant showing that we're reading everything in our city within 4 minutes. So if Manassas comes from their current fire station, it's probably gonna take them 6 to 7 minutes. If they decide, once they build a new fire station up by the hospital, they're gonna build one up there by the Wawa up there. There's a fire station going up there now. They're gonna take away the one that over here in Old Town. And they're talking about possibly moving their ladder truck out to, by the fairgrounds.
Yes.
There's a station up there.
That's pretty far.
Yeah.
So that hurts us, right? If ours is tied up or we don't have it, it's broke down. Now we're probably looking at Fairfax coming from Centerville. And we know what traffic on 28 in the afternoon looks like, right? So it could be anywhere from 6 to 15 minutes to wait on somebody's second to come in here. We're usually at 4 minutes for us.
To add on to that, for a structure fire response, a standard structure fire response in Northern Virginia, you're getting 2 ladder trucks. Because we want to try to position one at the front, and then like Chief Zepper said earlier, getting in there in the right order is imperative. The second truck that comes in would usually go to the rear of the building. So if we did have one of these issues where we needed a water curtain, we could actually set up to scrub multiple sides of the buildings and gain access to both sides or from the front and the back.
Thank you. Thanks.
Comments, questions?
No, thank you for the presentation. Well, I do have one question. I know you and I met back in September, and we discussed it, and I told you I was generally supportive, but we talked about there was a price differential, a little bit smaller truck. Is that the other truck there, or there was
No.
a slight shortage in the ladder, correct? And but it was a saving?
No. Oh, I know what you want.
No. So it depends on what you want. You can, the savings would be somewhere very minimal, like $250,000 to $300,000.
Savings?
Yeah, that's what it'd be.
What was the difference between the 2 trucks, or between?
25 feet. 25 foot, so you'd probably bring the next truck coming right to here.
The person on top of it, the jump?
Yeah.
The other thing to keep in mind is 101 feet is great when we're right up against the building. Some situations you don't have that, so as we go out, we have further reach too, so we lose our height in that position, in that key
Again,
situation.
when it comes time for replacement, we'll have those conversations, and we'll look at the budget, and we'll buy the right truck for the right time. And like I said, if we can figure out what the community's gonna look like, and I'm told what the community's gonna look like in the next 5 to 10 years, we'll have the apparatus to match our community, to protect our community. That's important. We gotta make sure that we have the apparatus for our community, not, buy something that we don't need. We need to have something we truly need. And I promise you, that's what we'll get.
Just a quick question. What's the lead time to replace the ladder truck we have now? And then how much longer do you see the current ladder truck lasting?
Good. It's your baby.
So the current ladder truck's a 2013. NFPA recommends to us that apparatus and equipment shouldn't be any older than 10 years. I think we're probably pretty comfortable saying to about a 15-year time frame or age for in-service for us. So we're coming up on that. We might be able to stretch it a year or 2 depending on how reliable it remains. The lead times we're hearing are up to 3 years. Some say pushing 4 years, but we also hear that there's some relief in the market too that these manufacturers are hoping to see as well. So we don't have a concrete answer. We are looking at, always trying to talk to multiple different manufacturers to keep an idea of what's available and what those timeframes look like. But we are probably at the point 2 to 5 years will probably be where I think I could say I'm pretty comfortable with.
So the next
This unit.
fiscal year or so, are we looking at?
We need some conversations.
I think our original plan when we bought the used ladder truck from Manassas,
Mhm.
is we said somewhere around 28 to 30, we started looking at replacing it. And that's, again, it's either we buy a used ladder truck or we buy a new ladder truck.
Mhm.
With this last used ladder truck, we knew what we were getting, right? We bought it from Manassas. The mechanic that worked on Manassas' apparatus is our same mechanic. He
Yeah.
knew this truck from day one. So
Yeah.
if we gotta get another used truck, do we really understand this ladder truck we're getting? We don't know. So
Yeah.
That's where we come down to start balancing the ideas of, do we need one immediately because this one just totally failed? Or do we,
Right.
can we wait for 2
Yeah,
to
we don't
3
want to
years?
wait too long, right?
So,
Yeah.
but, yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks. Any last questions? Thank you so much for coming out. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next is the consent agenda, approval of the minutes from November 5th, 2025, and the following appointments. Lawana Bryant, Rachel Kirkland, and Len Tabacchi to the Economic Development Authority, each to a 4-year term to expire November 18th, 2029. Maria Siwek, Laurie Miehm, and Robert Heaser to keep the park beautiful with a term to expire January 9, 2029. And Robert Heaser to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee with a term to expire December 31st, 2027. Do I have a motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Perfect timing. Now we have our proclamation. Ordering November 19 to 25 is Manassas Park Week of Gratitude. Whereas volunteerism and community service strengthen neighborhoods, foster civic pride, and improve the quality of life for all residents of Manassas Park. And whereas there are members of the Manassas Park community, including youths, seniors, veterans, persons with disabilities, and persons experiencing homelessness, who benefit substantially from organized, community-driven support and services. And whereas a focused week of gratitude will raise awareness of community needs, coordinate volunteer efforts, encourage partnerships among city government, businesses, nonprofit, and faith-based organizations, schools, and residents, and provide direct, measurable benefits to vulnerable populations. And whereas the governing body of the City of Manassas Park supports an annual observance that dedicates individual days during a designated week to provide special attention and volunteer action for selected community groups. Now therefore I, Alana Mensing, Mayor of the City of Manassas Park, do hereby proclaim November 19 to 25 Manassas Park Week of Gratitude and encourage all residents, businesses, community organizations, schools, and faith communities to join together in volunteer activities and special events during that week. During the Week of Gratitude, the following individual dates are designated for focused service. November 19th, City Appreciation Day. November 20, Seniors Day. November 21, Businesses and Small Business Day. November 22, First Responders and Medical Heroes Day. November 23, Day of Fellowship. November 24, Educator Appreciation Day. And November 25, Acts of Kindness Day. Further, I encourage everyone to coordinate meaningful, safe volunteer opportunities and publicize ways for the community to participate. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Lena, do we have the proclamation? Thank you. Daryl, would you like to say a few words while she's
Sure,
grabbing the
absolutely.
proclamation?
Yes. I just want to thank Ms. Sunshine, who everyone in our community knows as an amazing volunteer and a person who brings together our community and does fabulous work. I know, for example, this Thursday, they're serving over 500 people Thanksgiving dinners. And it's all because of Ms. Sunshine's vision and her cooperation. So she brought this concept to me and Yessie several months ago, I guess, about having a week of gratitude here in Manassas Park. So tonight we're doing that, but we just want to thank Ms. Sunshine for her vision and for all the work she does in our community, and for us being able to bring this to fruition this evening with this week of gratitude. And hopefully our residents listening to us on Zoom or through TV will take this to heart, because we have a lot of great organizations in our city that are serving our very needy, our veterans, our seniors, our homeless, and they deserve a day of gratitude, thanking them for all the hard work, and that the city appreciates all that they're doing. So once the proclamation comes, we'll do a formal presentation to Ms. Sunshine. We'd ask her to come up, and hopefully Kelly or Tony can take a few pictures for us, and we'll move the agenda.
Would you like to come and say a few words?
I also want to say thank you, Ms. Sunshine. I do believe you are an unsung hero in our community, so thank you.
Good evening and happy sunshine, everyone. Thank you to an absolutely amazing day. And we thank God for the opportunity to say that we're grateful and that we are a city of gratitude. What is gratitude? Giving beyond oneself. Knowing that you can do better because somebody else did better for you. We stand on the shoulders of so many others that have gone before us. And we want to say that we are a city of gratitude, fortitude, strength, and most of all, love and caring and sharing for someone else beyond ourselves. If you look around this room, you see so many people that actually care and they share. I'm going beyond myself, not because I have to, because I choose to. Are we Manassas Park? Are we different? Absolutely. Do we care? Absolutely. Will we share? Yes, we will. Can we do all things because we are a body of believers? And it takes the village to move the city. So if you are a part of our village, Miss Stacy, God bless you, Miss Jessie, Council, Miss Alana, I am appreciative to everyone, because why? Together we really can. And every day is a gift from God, and how we unwrap it is truly up to us. So as we stand with the proclamation, united we stand, and divided we fall apart. Thank you for the privilege. Thank you for the opportunity. Know that you make a difference. And everybody is special, no matter what your gift is. Do it to the best of your ability. And have fun, because laughter is a gift from God. And how we choose to laugh is up to us. Thank you, and God bless you.
All right, would you guys like to come up and take a picture? You guys all want to come down? Sure.
Why don't you stand between Lawana and I?
Thank you graciously.
We'll get the proclamation later. Thank you. Thank you. All right, next up is our ordinance, is the Overlook rezoning.
Good evening, governing body. I'm Michelle Berry, the Planning and Zoning Administrator. I'm just going to give a brief overview and hand it over to the applicant. Since the last time you saw these applications, the applicant did make some changes, specifically reducing the number of units by 15, but I'll let the applicant share the changes with you. So for that, just based on staff's recommendation of the new application, we are recommending approval of the rezoning. Now, they have a revised GDP, which is the fourth submission, and new proffers dated October 8th. And the staff's recommendation, though, is to have and add the right turn taper on West Cronolay Drive. That is part of our recommendation in the draft motions, which probably is on the second page. That is what we support. That it's not in the app. The applicant is willing to do that, but it's not part of the formal application. And we are recommending all the public facility manual waivers, the 6 waivers for private streets. And lastly, and I should have said this first of all, we are recommending approval of the comprehensive plan amendment to change the land use designations to multifamily residential. If you don't have any questions, I will hand it over to the applicant.
Any questions for
Representative.
Nikki or? No, let's hand it over.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Samantha Steckity, and I'm a senior land use planner with Ballard Spar, and I'm here this evening to present the changes the applicant has made to the Overlook application since we were last before you on September 16th. The most significant change made to the application before you this evening is the reduction in the total number of units proposed from 213 to 198. This reduction in the total number of units has the added benefit of increasing the amount of open space to 4.7 acres, which is the equivalent of 36% of the proposed development, and generating 38 less AM peak hour trips. The number of parking spaces has decreased due to the reduction in units, but the applicant remains committed to providing parking in excess of the zoning ordinance requirement of 426. and providing 5% of the total number of units as attainable for sale housing. As promised during the September 16th public hearing, the applicant has diversified the attainable for sale units provided. So in the proposal before you tonight, you will see 7 of the units will be stacked condo units identified by the blue units with the asterisks, and 3 will be located within the townhomes identified as the pink units with the asterisks. Thanks to you, your planning commission, staff, and the community for the thoughtful feedback. With a recommendation of approval by staff, we respectfully request a favorable decision this evening. We're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions? Start to my left.
No.
No questions, thank you.
No questions. Yes, ma'am.
No questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I guess my question is, which one of these am I reading? Steve, do you know which of that?
Option 2, Madam Mayor.
Okay,
Well, you have to do,
Let's do the first one first.
you have
Yeah, do
to,
the first
there
one.
has to be the comprehensive plan amendment on page
mm-hmm,
1 of the recommended, either approval or denial of the comprehensive plan amendment. And if the comprehensive plan amendment is approved, then you have your various options, and staff's recommendation is option 2.
staff recommendation is option 2, okay. And can I just clarify, Mickey, that we want the taper, even though we're losing a couple parking spots, that's okay because of the decrease in the development, I guess?
Staff is recommending the taper because the current traffic conditions warrant it.
Okay,
There is a bit of a compromise in the amount of parking spaces in that area, but initially it was more based on the initial proposal, but we have worked with PTRC to kind of shrink the area or space length for the bus, so it's about 2 spaces less than what's existing now.
and will the new bus stop still be ADA compliant?
That is that's part of the staff proposal, that it be ADA compliant, and that's part of the motion.
Okay, perfect.
Madam Mayor, I want to
Yes.
follow. Yeah, thank you, Mickey, on that. That was the same question I had about the taper. So help me understand, the applicant wants to keep the street, West Carondelet, the way it is today. The city staff is recommending this taper proposal. Is that my understanding?
Well, I wouldn't phrase it that way.
Okay.
They are willing to do the taper.
Okay.
But based on feedback from the community, they believe that they didn't include it as part of their formal application, but if the governing body desires it so, that they are happy to do it, they can correct it.
And
if
that's the one thing I'm going to bring to
correct.
mind to my colleagues on the dais here. The HOA vehemently is against the taper because of the loss of the parking.
Mhm.
They're very concerned that any loss of parking in that area would be problematic. So if we can achieve the same thing in safety, why not keep the parking spaces, is my question.
Well, I mean, as staff, we have to look at the traffic guidance and safety, and that's what's recommended. I mean, it really is up to the governing body to decide which one they prefer, but we can't, I mean, staff is always gonna recommend any kind of transportation improvements that are currently required.
And can we quantify what impacts will be from the taper, from the non-taper options?
Yeah, we have the transportation consultant right here.
Great,
All right.
perfect, thanks.
Hi, I'm Kayla Ord, Gross Slade Transportation Consultant. The impact from the taper in terms of parking is you're probably losing about 2 spaces, as she mentioned. So you're relocating the bus stop, and then that bus stop eats into some of that existing parking. From an operational benefit, you're not getting a huge benefit. It's really just the VDOT state recommendations for when you reach a certain amount of trips. They recommend having a taper because it gets the right turning vehicles a little bit of space to get out of the queue and provide room for the left turns. It doesn't make a significant operational change either way at the intersection. It's just what VDOT's recommendation would be at this intersection, but in my professional opinion.
Yes.
I don't know that it makes a huge difference at the intersection, but it does meet the warrants.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Again, I would reiterate, because they came to our meeting, the public hearing, the president of Bloom's Crossing HOA, and said they'd not like to lose any parking spaces on West Carondelet. I mean, that's a very important place for people to park. So hopefully, my colleagues in the dais will take that into consideration and support option 1. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just say the intersection works either way, so the decision won't affect the operations of the
And I
intersection.
appreciate that, Kayla.
Okay, so first I'm gonna read the comp plan amendment motion, and then we can talk about whether we want option 1 or 2. So, the motion is to approve the comprehensive plan amendment CPA 2025-02 to change the land use designation of the subject properties from private institution and recreational to multifamily residential.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
2 opposed, Mr.
Yep.
Carrera and Mr. Javed? 2, Mr. Carrera and Mr. Javed. Abstain? Motion carries. All right, let's go down the line. Who wants 1, who wants 2? I'm gonna take a tally.
Sorry, could I make a comment about
Sure.
number 1?
Yes.
So just to build on the vice mayor's comments, and I live right there. I live on Silver Meteor. I think the number of people making the left or going straight across is probably very low. And most people that are coming out of that street are making the right anyway. So I don't know if the taper is gonna make a difference. I think that the comment about the operational difference is probably negligible. And so given that, I would, for the localish residents near that project, I would be more in favor of option 1. Because that parking on West Carondelet is extremely important. I actually just talked to a fellow resident on Black Hawk Court who was talking about how there's really a lack of, there's not enough visitor and overflow parking in Blooms on Silver Meteor and Black Hawk. So that West
Good point.
Carondelet becomes a parking lot for all the folks living in that area. And
That's
so I
exactly
think
right.
keeping those 2 extra spaces, although seemingly negligible, will make a big difference to folks on the weekends when they have friends and family coming to visit. So that's my 2 cents.
Here, here.
Okay, thank you. Haseeb, 1 or 2?
Oh,
You don't care, if you're gonna vote, no, okay. Kevin is 1.
Number 1.
1.
Yessie? 1.
1.
1, okay. All right. So the motion is to approve rezoning RZ 2025-02 to rezone the subject properties from PUD, Planned Unit Development, and B2, Commercial Business District, to PUD, Planned Unit Development Residential, subject to the 4th submission of the General Development Plan and the proffer statement dated October 8th, 2025. Furthermore, the motion is to approve Public Facilities Manual waivers, PFW number 2025-02A through PFW 2025-02F. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain on the waiver.
1 abstention? Motion carries. All right, thank you for coming out. And next, ordinance amendment regarding real estate assessment intervals.
Thank you, Mayor, governing body. So a few months ago, or I think during the budget process, there was discussion on the dais about how to minimize or reduce the impact of real estate taxes on certain of our residential residents in the city. Councilmember Javed discovered that there's code that allows for the governing body to change the interval at which they do assessments of property, and so we've done some analysis of that, which I'm going to present to you now. And as we go through it, I'll ask for your direction when we get near the end. So just to cover it, and this is in the staff report, There is a code that, number one, defines real property and gives you the right to tax it, and these are the sites for that. But it also allows for jurisdictions that have a population of $30,000 or less to change the interval to, you can either do it at 1, 2, or 4 year intervals. You can't do it in 3, 1, 2, or 4. And again, these are the relevant codes that allow you to do that. So we looked at this a couple of different ways, or several different ways. The first thing we did was we looked at other cities in the state between 12,500 and 30,000, and I used those numbers because by the time I got to 12,500, I was at about 50 or 60 cities, and it was just getting onerous. So of those are all the cities between 12,500 and 30,000 that don't do an annual. The only two that do every 4 years is Radford and Fredericksburg. And I also wanted to sort of look at whether or not they were in Northern Virginia. And so by every account, and again, I'm not from here, it sounds like they're kind of an ish. You know,
I
it's
like the Nova-ish.
Yeah, they're Nova, but they're kind of on the outskirts of it, and but they're not in the DC metropolitan statistical area. So, and I only say that because the intent of the code was to reduce the burden, the administrative burden on the cities, the small cities, on having to do the assessments on an annual basis. So those are the cities. Again, there's a whole bunch of them below 12.5 that do different things, but it was just getting, and none of them are in Northern Virginia. I made sure I covered everything in Northern Virginia. And I did not do towns, so just cities. A lot of other stuff we talked about. Again, this is in the staff report, just sort of what sort of would be the impact if we were to change the interval, whether it be to 2 years or to 4 years. And we talked about it from the standpoint of the accuracy of the evaluation. Doing it annually does keep you tighter to the market, and so that you tend to lose that when you don't keep track of it over the year, and then you end up just kind of mushing it all together. Wouldn't matter if it's every 2 years, but once it gets to every 4, if you had a high 2, low 3, high 4, you just kind of find the middle rather than responding to it, so it wouldn't have a true accurate reflection of the curve of the market. It also would have an impact on people that are buying or selling real estate or residential real estate in the city of Manassas Park, because a lot of people look at the assessed value when they are looking at the market price, and there's always going to be a difference. Typically, the houses sell for more than they're assessed, but in a perfect world they wouldn't, and so that variation gets bigger the longer you wait between valuations. It does impact the ability to forecast city revenues a little bit, not as much as I thought it would. When we did the brainstorming, I thought this was going to be a big deal. Turns out it's not, but it does have a small impact. Also, the staff time needed to stay current with the assessments would obviously go down. Time spent on challenges would go down, possibly not needing the staff at all for some period of time. But I did look at the people who do it every 4 years, and they do spend between $250,000 and $300,000 bringing in a firm to do the assessments in those intervals. So it's not free, but there could be some savings there. The other piece is public relations impacts of the whiplash effect of having what's the market going to do in 4 years, and how's it going to look if it skyrockets or plummets or anywhere in between, which we will go into a little bit detail in a minute. And the biggest thing is that the owners in the city are locked in. You can't change it. If you decide you want to go to 4 years, then you do your assessment and the market tanks, or we have a housing boom and everything goes up, you can't change it till after the next assessment. So you can't just say, well, it'd be convenient to change this right now and change it to a different interval. Once you've done it, you have to ride that one out before you change it again. So you'll be locked in high, locked in low. I did show you the chart on what the other cities under 30,000 and above 12.5 are doing. And then the key component to this analysis is that the governing body has the ability to establish the real estate tax. So I'm going to show you some charts that overlays the actual market performance between 1990 and 2024. I do want to say I couldn't get that down to Manassas Park, So it is the state of Virginia, it's the entire state, but I assume that the curve is gonna be very similar. But it, it just doesn't come that small. So here's the housing market for the last 35 years. And this is done on January 1st. They actually do this assessment every month, but I just picked January 1st for each year. And so that's what it looks like over the course of the last 35 years. So you'll see the housing booms there, the little arrows pointing down at them. Late 70s, early 80s. The reason I think this is interesting is because the reason for it happening is different. But when you get to the housing crisis of 2008, you can see that's the biggest one on the chart. And then the last one is really just the bounce back from COVID. But that's the chart. That's what it looks like. I wanted to emphasize that in the last 20 years, if the last 20 years is any indication, I can't say that it is. I mean, again, if you look at that thing, it's not like there's a pattern to it. But if it was, what you would see is a pretty significant risk to homeowners and taxpayers if you were to increase the interval, because the declines in assessed value is steep. When the market tanks, and it tanks quick, and it goes down deep. When it recovers slow. So for the standpoint of the city, we might be here at one year, the next year might go a little bit higher, which is the same as the assessed value for the homeowners, but when it tanks, it goes down fast. And so depending on when you decided to do your assessments, like let's say you happen to do your first assessment in 2005, when the market's at 19.31% higher than it was in 2004, or the assessed values, you're stuck with that for 4 years. And if you look, you'll see that by the end of that 4 years, it's actually gone below zero. So it's actually regressed. And that would be great for the city as far as the tax revenues. It would not be so great for the homeowners. Conversely, if it was the other way around and that first assessment was in 2009, then the city would have that lower revenue until 2013. But as you can see, it's a much slower increase, much slower recovery than the declines. And that's true all the way across the board. Whenever you see those drops, they drop fast. And I was surprised to see that. And that's why I say it wouldn't have as much impact on city revenues, projecting revenues, as I thought it would. So, in summary, again, the declines are steep. That would have a huge impact on people regardless. And you could pick it. Maybe you hit year 2 of the decline instead of year 1. I was just doing worst case scenarios. But regardless, the drops are faster than the declines, and that's always going to have an impact, a greater impact on the taxpayer than it would on the city. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing that we realized was the most impact you can have on the tax rate is the decisions you guys make every year. And if you were to change the interval, you would lose that power. You're stuck with whatever you decide in year 1. And it might not even be you, depending on the election cycles and when these things happen. It could be previous sitting bodies. So I think retaining the ability to make the adjustment every year will have the greatest impact on the tax burden that the taxpayers have to make year to year. Our recommendation is to stick with what we got. Along the way, Councilmember Cyberling noticed some discrepancies or some differences in how the limits we set for our tax relief plan, and she provided us with a couple of comparisons to nearby jurisdictions, which I did verify. She was correct. And so I just used your chart. I figured, why reinvent the wheel? And so this is another possibility moving forward. So keep it on an annual basis, but I would recommend that we revisit our tax relief limits as we go into the next budget cycle and see if maybe we want to raise some of those minimums so that a disabled veteran making $60,000 when this was established 10 years ago could be making $110,000 now and still be doing worse than he would have 60,000 10 years ago. So we can look at that and see that we get that right size based on your desire to provide relief at whatever level to whatever group you are interested in providing relief to. So that's what I have for you. When we sat down with Darius and Josh and did the brainstorming on this, we realized we could do 2 months worth of analysis and come with a whole bunch of different stuff. But once we sort of settled on the biggest power being your annual ability to adjust it, it didn't feel like we needed to do much more than that. So that being said, if you have any questions or want me to, we can. So.
Great. Thank you. That's some interesting information. Councilmember Javed, did you want to add anything or
Sure.
comment?
Well, thanks for bringing this forward,
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
couple months, and I hope that the assessment team could have been here for a little Q&A as well, but the presentation was excellent. The whole thing behind this, when I first brought this on board to the governing body, was it kind of gives the relief to the homeowners instead of having that shock every year that the market is going up, right? So it kind of gives them a stability or a plan ahead type of thing to say, at least for 2 years, that, okay, I know my assessments will stay the same and I can plan for it, right? And we are reducing the property tax. Year 2, they might see the benefit of the reduction, right? Right now, they don't see it because of the market value going up and up, and we're increasing the tax, and there's no benefit for the residents seeing that reduction. So at least the year 2 part, if it stabilizes, they could see the reduction that we did on the property tax, real estate tax, on their bill. So that was kind of the I guess the, you know,
Impetus.
And you mentioned that, you know, they won't have work during the year 2, or, I mean, would they be still assessing throughout the year? Because there's a lot of admin work still being processing, appeals, paperwork, billing.
Well, keeping track of sales and transfers of ownership, updating the GIS file,
Yeah,
updating
so I mean,
the
so that's what I
assessment
say, so
file.
even if we increased it to buying, you know, every 2 years, it's not like they won't have any downtime, they still will have work to do.
Yeah, and I didn't do detailed analysis on that. That was just one of the things we threw up on the
Okay.
wall as a brainstorming thing, is that there may be some savings there, but
Right.
I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah. I mean, it just, I'll open it to the council, but, you know, when I think it just helps the residents, you know, it gives them a little relief. And, you know, every year we are reducing it, but the community does not see the impact on their bill. So I think just 2 years, 4 years is too much, but I think the 2 years would at least be some type of benefit.
Yeah, and just to comment on that, the thing that I worry about is if you looked at just any 2 years there,
Yeah.
like if you look at 2000, and I can't read the wall or my computer without my glasses. If you looked at 2000 and, let's say 2004, and so you weren't, no, let's look at 2003, but you weren't gonna assess again until 2005,
Yeah.
that would have been a combined 25.51% increase.
Right.
So yeah, they got to reap the benefit for 1 year, and then it went up by 25 point. I think that would, I think that would be worse for people than having it partway up in between, you know, so I mean, of course, whatever the body wants to do, but I wanna make sure you understand that the effects are cumulative. It doesn't mean that you get to go to that next spot. When you do the reassessment, it's what is the market now, and if it's 25 or more higher, that's what the assessment is, so.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, right now, our assessment is gonna be unstable because of all the development we're doing, right? So the more residential rooftops comes in, the assessment value does go up, the market value of each resident goes up because of all this development. So, I mean, this, right now, I would agree, is probably not a good time to do this because we have about 1,500 units coming on board. So, I mean, it won't make sense, but
Well, and it's
eventually,
funny,
once development settles down, once the movie theater stabilizes, then you can have a stable market, right? Because right now, all this development is gonna increase the market.
Yeah, and again, I just wanna be clear, I can't predict the future. This is just what the last 35 years looked like.
Yeah.
Best idea of what we have going forward.
Yeah, right?
What do you mean you can't predict the future?
I'm sorry.
What would this
And
do
another
the
thing with
the selling of homes and stuff if the value is lower? I mean, think of it from that perspective too.
Go ahead. Haseeb.
Oh, let me ask a question, I didn't hear it, but the other thing is, for forecasting, like, future revenues, wouldn't it be easier for staff to kind of see we have predictable revenue stream, cash flow, if it's like a 2-year versus you don't know what's gonna happen year 1, year 2, is it going up, is it going down? Because the CIP is usually 2 to 5 years out, right? So at least this will help the staff.
You would think, we'll be talking about the CIP as we go into the budget process, but
Yeah.
no forecast survives first contact with reality. And so, yeah, for 1 year, you're right, it would be stable, it would be predictable.
Right.
But the second year would be throwing a dart at a dartboard.
All right, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a question. Earlier this year, we approved a budget expense for like an AI evaluation tool.
Yes.
And this might not be part of this, but I'm just wondering how that tool plays in with the whole burden administrative aspect of it. So is it just that the assessment value is now more accurate with the tool? Or will that tool also provide benefits in terms of reducing the amount of manual labor that goes into that? And then my second question is, how many disputes do we typically have in a year in terms of volume? Is it 200? Is it 2,000?
We had 3 this year,
Okay.
so. yeah.
So one of the things that was on there was something about the needing time to stay current with the assessments and the challenges to them. I guess my thought was that the new tooling and the fact that the number is relatively low would mean that that's kind of a non-issue.
Well, but I expect that if we went to a larger interval and all of a sudden instead of 6%, it was 16%, we'd have a lot more people
No,
appealing their
absolutely,
assessments,
absolutely.
yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
in favor of keeping it on the annual basis. I just wanted to not make assumptions and ask those questions.
Yeah, and so the C3 AI is supposed to make things much more accurate. It won't change our total assessed value much. Historically, the more expensive properties are undervalued, the least expensive properties are overvalued, and this from an equity standpoint, this should flatten that out. And so he's gonna Darius and Justin will do the assessments in January, February-ish, so we have a communications plan that we've prepared for the community about what C3 AI is, what to expect, and how to interact with the various pieces of it as it goes through, including the fact that they can still appeal it, and nothing's changed as far as what they have access to. But it should result in much more accurate assessments, not only from the standpoint of the bias to overassess lower end properties and underassess higher end properties, but it also uses a lot of tools to look at, like, some people might have put an addition on their house they didn't get a permit for, but the Google Earth tells us they did, and so their house has gone up in value for improvements they've made that we weren't necessarily aware of, so a couple different benefits there.
All right, thank you.
No real questions, just thank you for the analysis. Very refreshing to see that level of analysis. And just to say that I support the 1 year assessment.
Yeah, I also support the 1 year. And it's good to know that the outreach that you said you're gonna have about the new software. It's
Yeah,
good.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
It could have a noticeable effect on some people, and
Yeah.
we're talking about, if it looks like the C3 AI is gonna assess someone's property in excess of more than, say, 5% of what they expected it to be from a dollar percentage, not a raise, that will warrant personal contact. We're gonna reach out to them personally and talk to them and let them know why. The thing is, the reason the house might have increased in value they might have just bought it. They might not have been responsible for whatever affected the increase. So we're gonna do the best we can to smooth the waves as much as we can. But at the end of the day, if it is something where it's been undervalued, then they've been getting a benefit on the backs of the people that haven't been getting a benefit. So it is more fair.
Great, thank you. See, no questions.
I support the 1 year because I think doing anything else is smoke and mirrors. People should budget 1 year. And if people are upset, they should come here and speak at the budget and demand they reduce the tax rate. It's just more honest accounting. It's the way you should do everything. And I agree with you. I think 1 year is fine. And, people upset, they should come every year to the budget meeting and request the tax rate be reduced further. Thank you.
I also support the 1 year. However, I think it's an interesting concept to think about it from an affordable housing standpoint and from a rent standpoint. With the properties, real estate values going up almost 8%. So that's something we don't control. And just reducing 1 cent this year really didn't relieve anybody from anything because you still had that 8% increase. So if we did keep it static for 2 or 4 years, we're gonna be more competitive. People will buy here, rent won't go up, because the people that own won't feel the need to make up the money. So it is something to consider from an affordable housing standpoint. I do like it. It's just something to consider. So, but again, I do support the 1 year, but it's just an interesting concept, just something to think about. Because Manassas Park could be the place to be if we do 2 or 4 years, because we will be less expensive.
For a while, but when it
Yes,
goes up, it's gonna
for a
go
while.
start.
But
cheap,
then we'll
start,
be
yeah.
competitive again
For a minute, yeah.
for a minute.
Yeah.
And then again, we'll still be that place to be, the place to go for rent, that has the lower rent. It's just something to think about from an affordable housing standpoint.
So it looks like we're good to go. We're gonna stick with 1.
Yes,
All
thank
right.
you.
And when we do come back through the budget process, we will look at the limits on the tax relief, different programs we have, and see if you want to do something there.
That could make
Thank you.
significant difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Thank
agree.
you.
Thanks. All right, we've arrived at our second public comment time. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment? No? All right, city manager report. Run. Michael wants to go home. Gotta rent it.
I know that the main thing I just wanted to say was, of course, that City Hall will be closed next week, half-day Wednesday, all-day Thursday and Friday for the Thanksgiving holidays. Then the following week will be our December 2nd meeting. And also, Kelly really wants to know if you want to ride on a float or ride in a car at the light parade for those of you that are coming and haven't answered yet. So that's all I have. So
Okay.
we can't tell what the weather is yet, so I personally would go car just because that sort of,
Then
covers
they
all the
can't see
bases.
you.
Yeah, they can't see you.
Then what's the fun of it?
Yeah.
Well, what's the fun of doing it in the rain?
Well, it's part of the thing.
Well, if you could just let Kelly know,
Yeah.
we would appreciate
Are you
that.
talking about single vehicles like they used to do, or are you talking about everybody in one vehicle?
Oh, we do multiple vehicles if it was, if you're in the vehicle.
A long time ago, what they would do is they put every council member in their own police vehicle and have our magnet on the side. That was years ago. But then they started adding
ages
like
ago.
a soccer van or mom van and putting everybody in there. Like, is that what you're talking about?
You're talking about a party bus?
Maybe we need that. Does that come with other people?
I like a party
So-
bus.
I like the party bus.
Kelly?
Only if other entertainment comes with it.
Kelly, I have access to a wagon with benches and stuff. If we all could actually fit in it, and it has benches and it's, kind- so just let me know.
You and I got the party bus.
Yeah, this, like I said, this has got nice benches built in and, yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
ride in a snowplow.
Well, I guess the issue has been, it's been float for the last few times, and then it rained, and the float went to naught because everybody got in the cars, so that's
Okay.
all.
So everyone, email Kelly.
I'm gonna be in my own float, so,
Oh, dear.
yeah.
Yes, you float. And that's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. We are adjourned. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes, happy